Come to me. So Rachel Maddow went nuts again, and the last time we did a report on Rachel Maddow being nuts, it got demonetized. So we'll see what happens here. I think Rachel Maddow has a real lover inside the monetization room at YouTube, but we'll see. Rachel Maddow claims Lord of the Rings is a favorite of far-right figures. You think I'm kidding? Does far-right just mean dorks? Because I know it's a favorite of dorks. Am I right? I mean, she says, so let's listen to it. Let's listen to what she says.
Like Mr. Teal, who has named his companies after things in the Lord of the Rings series of J.R.R. Tolkien books. Lord of the Rings is a sort of favorite cosmos for naming things and cultural references for a lot of far-right and alt-right figures, both in Europe and the United States.
Chris, could you believe this? Are you shaking your head? Is this at this, right? Yeah. Now, Lord of the Rings is now far-right, white supremacist, racist. J.D. Vance isn't a white supremacist because he likes Lord of the Rings. Maybe it's because now he's working with a guy he once called Hitler. You ever think of that? This is real. She's really saying this.
Like Mr. Teal, who has named his companies after things in the Lord of the Rings series of J.R.R. Tolkien books. Lord of the Rings is a sort of favorite cosmos for naming things and cultural references for a lot of far-right and alt-right figures, both in Europe and the United States. Peter Thiel names all these things after Tolkien figures and places, like his company Palantir, for example. Like his mentor, like Peter Thiel, who had given him all his jobs in the world, Mr. Vance also, when he founded his own venture capital firm with help from Peter Thiel, named it after a Lord of the Rings thing. He called it Narya, N-A-R-Y-A, which you can remember because it's Aryan, but you move the end to the front.
If you just move letters around, if you just take the letters and jumble them up, they say different things. And lots of times you can make them say stuff like Nazis and Aryan. This is real. She just did that. She just did that. They took she is mental. She
called it Narya, N-A-R-Y-A.
Narya, but if you take the N away and you put it at the end, it's Aryan.
You can remember because it's Aryan, but you move the end to the front.
That's how you remember it, she said. That's how you remember it. The woman with the Tucker Carlson haircut, the Megyn Kelly eyelashes, and the man jeans. Talk about someone in conflict with themselves. And now she's this is Alex Jones can't come anywhere close to the shit that is being said on a daily basis at MSNBC. So these people are now white supremacists. If you misspell the names of the companies they've formed.
Narya, N-A-R-Y-A, which you can remember because it's Aryan, but you move the end to the front. Apparently that word has something to do with elves and rings.
Can you do that with anything? I wish I could think of something off the top of my head. Hey, if it's Maddow and you take one of the D's and you put a C in there, that's mad cow. You're trying to infect people's brains with a virus. Mad cow. Like you could just do that all day long. Jimmy Dore, if you take the D and you put it over there and you put an H in front and say it's a whore, that means he's going to sell out. What the fuck? She literally just did that. A company that he found is called Narya, which is after something in the Lord of Rings.
After a Lord of the Rings thing, he called it Narya.
So it's something in the Lord of the Rings, Narya. Just like Palantir, just like... Oh, by the way, you would think that this incredible journalist Rachel Maddow, would mention that the CIA actually uses PALANTIR to monitor American political dissidents. Kind of seems more important than this nerd fantasy angle. She admits that he gets all the names of his shit from Lord of the Rings, and then she just says one of the words from Lord of the Rings is Aryan. If you misspell it.
And
you can't make I couldn't make this shit up, but guess who could? Rachel Maddow.
With help from Peter Thiel, named it after a Lord of the Rings thing. He called it Narya, Narya, which you can remember because it's Aryan, but you move the end to the front. Apparently that word has something to do with elves and rings from the Lord of the Rings series. I don't know. Like Mr. Thiel.
Boy, she doesn't know, but she certainly knows a lot of things about things that she claims she doesn't know anything about. I don't know. It has something to do with this or that. I don't know. But you do know Narya. If you take the N out, it's Aryan. That's how you remember it? That's basically the way Rachel Maddow operates. And either you go along with it or you get called a phobe or an ist.
Who has named his companies after things in the Lord of the Rings series of J.R.R. Tolkien books. Lord of the Rings is a sort of favorite cosmos for naming things and cultural references for a lot of far-right and alt-right figures, both in Europe and the United States. Peter Thiel names all these things after Tolkien figures and places, like his company Palantir, for example. Like his mentor, like Peter Thiel, who had given him all his jobs in the world, Mr. Vance also, when he founded his own venture capital firm, with help from Peter Thiel, named it after a Lord of the Rings thing. He called it Narya, Narya, which you can remember because it's Aryan, but you move the end to the front. Apparently that word has something to do with elves and rings from the Lord of the Rings series. I don't know.
You know, maybe he named it after something from the Lord of the Rings. Maybe J.D. Vance named it Narya after something from the Lord of the Rings, because his biggest donor is Peter Thiel, and that's his gig. And so maybe it proves that he's more of just a basic run-of-the-mill ass-kisser trying to flatter the guy who's given him his business start and funded his political campaigns. You ever think about that? Nah, I bet it's got something to do with Aryans. You can't make this shit up. It is interesting watching Rachel Maddow turn into Jim Garrison from the movie JFK, tying everything together in the great conspiracy of 2024. That being that, and her great conspiracy, that being that a couple of guys enjoyed a book dealing with very basic level good versus evil shit. According to a wiki page dedicated to the series, Narya, or the Ring of Fire, was described by Tolkien as having the power to inspire others to resist tyranny, domination, and despair, as well as having the power, in common with the other three rings, to hide the wielder from remote observation, except by the wielder of the one, and giving resistance to the wariness of time. I think I just became a virgin again just by reading that. Maddow's monologue preceded one from her colleague Alex Wagner, who accused Vance of dropping an Easter egg of white nationalism by mentioning that he hoped to be buried in his family's plot in Kentucky during his speech. So by mentioning that he hoped to be buried in his family's plot in Kentucky, according to Alex Wagner, that is dropping an Easter egg of white nationalism. There's nothing more racist than wanting to be buried next to your family. Well, except for being married to a woman of color, which J.D. Vance actually is. Total racist. It's like when they called Bill Burr a racist. They would point it out his wife is black. They go, oh, a lot of racists do that. They go marry black women and have half black kids. But you can't be surprised by any of this with a guy who uses initials like he's a country western star. Am I right, J.D. Vance? I'm talking about. I expect to see him playing the Las Vegas Strip sometime soon. Oh, by the way, guess who else loves Lord of the Rings? Stephen Colbert.
Uh-oh.
One of the most famous Lord of the Rings superfans is Stephen Colbert, meaning Rachel Maddow now thinks that Colbert is a far-right figure.
But I'm just guessing that if you were into Dungeons and Dragons, you must have been into Lord of the Rings.
Yes, I was. I will just say this to you, Conan. Ellen Silla Lumen Omentielvo. Or don't you speak Quenya? No one speaks High Elvish in this room?
Oh no, Stephen Colbert speaks Aryan. Much like a historical Nazi, he hates Russians, and he was all in on lockdowns and mandatory experimental gene therapy. That's your latest cuckoo bird, Rachel Maddow, off her nut with her Megyn Kelly eyelashes. I like when lesbians wear when butch lesbians wear the Megyn Kelly eyelashes. Those are my favorite. And you pair it up with the Tucker Carlson haircut and some man jeans. That's a psychiatrist's dream. And then you call everything you don't like white supremacist. It's like a cartoon watching MSNBC now. They're like a cartoon. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This is the best version of Joe Biden. They just did that. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Putin's going to turn off all your heat in the winter. Poof, just like that. Putin's going to do that. Remember that? Remember Russiagate? Okay, over to Super Chats.
Okie dokie. Here we go. President Kamala will be able to use her Wallace Simpson level skills when she negotiates with foreign leaders. Sparky63. Thank you, Spark. Hannah, sir, YouTube censored this. We need to face the fact that we're screwed. But it's okay because this horribly violent, unsustainable civilization was never meant to last. Hannah, sir. Sparky, break it off in BlackRock. Make Ukraine Russia again. Sparky63. People saying being wary about Trump appointing Vance with his Thiel-Palantir connections is a Trump derangement syndrome. No, it's not. The Trump derangement syndrome is spewing unfounded stuff like Trump is Hitler or Trump is a Putin puppet. What soup? Thank you, What Soup. Steve from Ontario, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a cluster bomb today. Zelensky, probably. Steve from Ontario. Mahalo, Jimmy and Whitney from Lava Mama O. Thank you, Mama Lava O. Leaping Leopard, best wishes to beautiful, brilliant Whitney. Thiel is pronounced like teal. Peak Prosperity Channel has proof of 2 shooters with audio analysis. The Lost of CS CEO was just out of the shower for Hoda. Thank you for that. Agent Archit, Secret Agent data will be lost because of this cyber attack. Secret Service data, thank you. Rachel Maddow has an enormous, never mind, my name is Earl. Mad Cow.
Neck.
Yes, neck. Mad Cow hates LOTR because there are no gay elves or dwarves. What's more, not even a fairy can be found. FSO. Ragging on people you hate can be an addiction and distracts you from more important things you should be paying attention to. You're so right, Anna, sir. Rachel, anagram genius, Mad Cow. Thank you, XYZZ. An anagram of Rachel Maddow is cam whore. What? Come on, Colorado Watch. All right, what was this one I just saw? Rachel Mad Cow saw a white supremacist cloud. She could tell by its shape that it was Heiling Hitler. Thank you, S. Randall. Much appreciated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you coming to Wise Guys? Are you checking us out at the Remote Theater and Wealthy Theater? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy, you all set?
So I called up to...
If you're wondering what's going on with Ukraine right now, follow along with me for a minute. Karl Marx created the foundation of what is happening in Ukraine today. His real name was Karl Heinrich Mordecai Marx. The father of Karl Marx was Herschel Mordecai, who was the son of Rabbi Mordecai Marx Levi, who was the son of Samuel ben Mordecai Ha Levi, who was the son of Laius ben Mordecai, who in the 1400s, Laius Mordecai changed his name from Mordecai to Schwab. So the Schwab bloodline today is the bloodline of Karl Marx. But wait, there's more. Laius ben Mordecai Schwab was the son of Samuel Leopold Schwab II, who had changed his name from Guntberger to Schwab in the 1500s. And he was the son of Samuel Guntberger, who changed his name from Bauer to Guntberger. And the Bauer bloodline was originally named the Bacharachs during the time of Christ. The Bacharachs in 1501 changed their name to Bauer, and then 76 years later, in 1577, they changed their name to Rothschild. So they're all related. Guys, have to go check out this video of Bishop Larry Gators talking about Russia, Ukraine, the CIA, and the Rothschild conspiracy to take out Vladimir Putin. It is absolutely just...
If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle-diddle-diddle-digga-digga-diddle-diddle-dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison. But they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, you know, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, you know, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators. And they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, you know, what we need, what needs to be done. And, you know, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, you know, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, you know, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, you know, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, you know, this system and those backing the officials running the system, you know, want people to believe that revolution means violence, you know, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. You know, when people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. You know, they get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just MOVE babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, you know, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, you know, by drug pushers? I mean, you know, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, you know, making a quick buck, you know. I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, you know, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, you know, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. You know, how long are people going to sit back and beg, this government to do what's right, when for hundreds of years, all you've gotten is a slap in the face. All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit